Hey everybody, it's Kelly and Fish here for episode 5. I don't know,
Four.
something like that. 4 of
Numbers
Psych
become rules
Resolution,
sometimes.
right, of Psych Resolution. This week we're going to start a new mindfulness practice. It's called paired relaxation. And there's not going to be really a time limit for it. Just when we're done, we're done. We're also going to go into Dear Man, which is an interpersonal effectiveness tool. It's super helpful to use when you have uncomfortable conversations that you have to have roommates, partners, bosses, coworkers. It really just helps you assert yourself and keep yourself on track and on point with what you're talking to, or what you're talking about and who you're talking to. Because I definitely have a lot of anxiety when it comes to things like that and asserting myself and my own boundaries. And this definitely helps with that. Um,
And I have the reverse problem of, let's just say I don't have a problem being assertive, and sometimes that means shit goes sideways.
Absolutely, absolutely. For those of you that are on that side of the spectrum, it definitely helps you tamper things down a little bit and stay a little bit more on point. As opposed to, for some people, being really assertive can be very off-putting and make the conversation a lot harder. So this kind of is just more of a well-rounded way on how to approach the problem.
As someone who's done it, when you're going to start these difficult conversations with people, it is not good, healthy, or helpful to come in like, holla if you hear me, and that kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And also another little caveat to Dear Man. Dear Man is not something you do in the moment. Dear Man is something that you leave the situation as is, say we'll talk about it at another time. And then you do the Dear Man on your own. I literally write it down on a piece of paper and sit there with a piece of paper and go through it when I need to have difficult discussions with people. And I think a lot of the time by doing that, it shows the other person how invested you are in the situation because of the time and the effort and the work that you put in to try to resolve it. So moving forward through that, let's go ahead and go to Beauty and the Beast. Fish went first last week, so I'll go first this week. My beast, oh Lord. Let's see, to pick just one. I would probably have to say my beast is kind of ongoing at this point. Last week it was, the situation with my psychiatrist, and I would say this week it's high levels of pain keeping me from doing what I need to do. My family and I are going through kind of like a transition right now. And I can't do the things that I need to do, which pushes them farther back, which makes everything else harder. So there's that. My beauty, honestly, the first thing that comes to mind is I did something this week that I don't normally do ever. And I put myself out there and shared some feelings that I had for an individual. And I did not necessarily get the answer that I was hoping for. But it was still a positive answer, and it still allowed us to like move forward and, concentrate on, being friends and getting to know each other again because we've known each other for a long time. And that's my beauty because in the past, before I had gone through DBT, that whole conversation would have made me spiral. I would have gone into, the I'm worthless, nobody wants me, I'm going to be single for the rest of my life, sort of shitty committee mind tick. And I was able to keep myself from doing that, which also allowed me to connect with this human being on a higher level. So yeah, that's my beauty and beast for the week. How about you, Fish?
My beast, I guess it was other people. I had to basically buy Felicia someone today, which sometimes you need to. And I mean, the fact of the matter is, depending on how it can be valid to do it peacefully, neutrally, or full on scorched earth. So just to let everyone know, if you feel that's how you need to do it, scorched earth can be valid at times. Just make sure you don't plan to try to cross that bridge again. So be damn sure you want to burn it, is all I'm saying. And if you my people, I'll be with you burning that fucking bridge. I'll bring the gas. And beauty, just get ready to starting to come up with more organizational and decorative ideas for down here in the basement. I mean, I've got a major project that I'm rearranging a lot of the crap on the wall, so at some point what's behind me will look a little different.
That's awesome. I love organizing. My closet is color coded. So any chance you give me to organize anything for anybody, I'm there. So I'm excited for you for that. Getting your space the way that you want it is really important, at least for me. Allows for, creative juices to flow and such.
Exactly. Like I've enjoyed the way it is, but I've come to a point where I need some changes. So those start happening next week. Plans have already been made.
Yep. Yep. For some people, those changes are rearrange your room. For some people, that means cut bangs for the first time. And some people, it means to change your hair color, whatever, whatever works. For me, it's all of the above.
I haven't had bangs to cut. I did have dreads for a bit in high school. But
Oh
then
my God.
I couldn't just keep working at the skate shop for product. I needed some actual money. So I'm like, fuck, I've got to have semi-normal hair because I'm a white kid in a mountain town with neon yellow dreads.
That's awesome. That should have gotten you all the jobs, in my personal opinion. But, maybe that's why I don't hire people, at least right now.
Well,
Um,
I was too young for the dispensary. They wanted you to be 21. They
yeah.
dispensary.
Yeah. Yeah. You would have fit right in the dispensaries that I worked at. That's the one thing that I loved about working in the cannabis industry is they don't care what you look like as long as you're informed and like what you're talking about and you're not going to give people the wrong medicine. Like they didn't care. They didn't care. You could have just like one hawk, like just like here with
Like
like
Angela from
piercings.
Fishbone.
Yeah, they would not care. They really don't. Um Okay, so moving on, we're gonna do mindfulness. Okay, so for this activity, usually they say you should be sitting in a chair. I obviously, with the way I film and where I film, I don't have that luxury, so I'm gonna be sitting Indian style. Sit whatever way is comfortable for you, whether it's your feet out in front of you, Indian style, like a weird way in a chair, like whatever works for you, go ahead and do that. And what we're gonna do is we're going to start at the toes and we're going to work our way up through the body to the top of the head. And what we're going to do is I'm going to prompt you to tense and release the muscles in the area that I'm addressing. And basically, what this does is it allows you to release tension and energy in your body that you might be holding. Like me, I hold a lot of my tension in my shoulders. So a lot of the time my shoulders are up like this and I don't even realize it. So by doing activities like this, it allows you to kind of like pinpoint different areas on your body where you're holding tension, to be aware of that throughout the day. So one, you're aware of it, and two, for someone like me with a disability, you don't hurt yourself. If I spend the entire day with my shoulders up near my ears, I wake up the next morning and I can't really use my arms because of my fibromyalgia. So yeah, it's just kind of like an all around great thing. There's not really a time limit on this one. Some people do it for 5 minutes, some people do it for 10. I'm just going to run through it to get us used to it today. And then maybe next week we can put a time limit on it. So once again, very much like I said with the last ones, if it's triggering for you to keep your eyes closed, just go ahead and try to gaze at the floor or something that's like bland and non-distracting. And you also, with this one, want to try to keep an open stance, whether it's palms up and like, you're out and you're open, or, your legs out in front of you and you're like that, you know what I mean? Like whatever works. You could also lay down for this one. It is suggested though that if you choose to lay down, you lay down on your back and palms up with your head facing the ceiling. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give everybody a couple of seconds to get situated. And then we're going to go ahead and go into it. So we're going to start this with a couple of box breathing techniques that we did before, but we're only going to do 3 rounds of it. Okay. And for this, for those of you who haven't watched the other ones, the box breathing technique, one of them is to breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 6. And we're going to do 3 of those. Okay. So get yourself ready and get yourself comfortable. And let's go ahead and start with in, hold, out. In, hold, out. In. Last one. Hold. All right. So now that we all have all that oxygen to our brain and we're all a little bit more relaxed, let's go ahead and go right into the paired relaxation therapy. So I want all of you to concentrate on your feet and your toes. Maybe wiggle them around a little bit. Become aware of their presence. And that what I want you to do is I want you to tense your toes up, curl them in, tense them up, tense them up. Keep going and release. Something that helps for some people is as you release, exhale, but it's not required. All right, now we're going to move up to the calves. All right, go ahead and tense them up, maybe alternately a couple of times. Get the feeling of them being there and you being aware of it. And tense and hold. Keep holding. Now release. Maybe jiggle them around a little bit. Right now we're going to move up to the thighs. Go ahead and tense your thighs up a couple times. Maybe alternate it, do it to the beat of your favorite song. All right. And then you're going to go ahead and tense and hold. Keep holding. And release. Release. Go ahead and jiggle your legs out a little bit. All right. Now we're going to move up to the abdomen. Go ahead and tense up your abdomen a little bit. Suck that in a couple times, kind of like you're hyperventilating. Get that diaphragm going, and you're gonna hold. Keep going. Release. All right, go ahead and do a couple. Go ahead and loosen that abdomen back up. Those of you who are belly dancers, do that cool thing that y'all do, loosen it up. All right, now we're going to move to your upper back and shoulders. With this, you can kind of choose to tense it up whichever way you can. I tend to kind of like hunch my head down a little bit and tense my back and my shoulders. So let's just go ahead and do that a couple of times. Get used to what that feeling feels like. And then we're going to go ahead and hold. Keep going. And release. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. All right. We're going to go to your arms. Now, the arms, some people like to flex upper arms like this. Some people like to do it straight and get that tricep. whatever feels right to you, you can do. I tend to do the tricep because of my fibromyalgia. So let's go ahead and get those arm muscles tensing up a little bit. Get them going alternately a little bit. Get used to that sensation. And we're gonna hold. Keep going. And release. Last but not least, this is actually my favorite part, is your face. For me, what I try to do is I smile when I do this because it moves a lot of muscles in your face. Technically, it takes more muscles to frown, but who wants to frown? So we're gonna go ahead. And you can smile and tense your face up. We are both gonna look super funny. Don't worry about it. It's about the exercise and the result that you get. So go ahead and let's go ahead and get that going and get your face ready. And let's go ahead and hold. And release. Go ahead and move your face around a little bit. And then something that I like to do is take a couple of seconds to breathe at your own pace. And something that I like to do is to visualize the negative energy and tension that was in your body and just feel it exiting through your head. And I know that sounds really weird, but sometimes doing that visualization is kind of like a mind over matter situation. So let's go ahead and just take a couple seconds to breathe at our normal rate and just visualize all of the negative energy and tension that you just released in your body exiting from your head. For some people, it can be your fingertips. For some people, it can be your toes. For some people, it can be all of the above. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay. I prefer sometimes mindfulness techniques like that for someone that suffers with ADHD because it gives you a lot to concentrate on. So once my mind starts to get to that point where like it might start wandering, it's like, oh, next muscle group, and it keeps me engaged, which makes it a lot easier for me to stay mindful and get like the maximum effect of the practice. How did you feel about that one, Fish? Do you like that one more than the other one or not?
I like them all because I am horrible at actually meditating.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Me
more
too.
these things I can use that'll actually work, like if you tell me 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, hell nah. Not it for me. Like right now,
I feel you.
I think my comfortable max is about 3 minutes right now.
No, and hey, that's a good start. Like I was at that same point when I was at like my peak of, being really good and on top of being mindful. Um, and like I got to a point where at nighttime before bed, I could do 10 minutes of box breathing and stay present. And that was a huge thing for me. But something that everyone has to remember is I started at a minute. So once again, like we've said every week, mindfulness is a practice. It's not a perfection. And even the people who are really good at, meditating or, being mindful aren't perfect all the time. And sometimes they can't even get into that Zen space. So don't be too hard on yourself.
Also, if you're like me, especially, I'm probably ADHD undiagnosed. If you have a hard time sitting still and the mindfulness, and all of a sudden you have an easy time doing it, check yourself because it might be depression.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Check in with yourself. A lot of the time, symptoms that you're experiencing due to diagnoses or lack thereof um, could be compounding the issue. So, yeah, definitely stay aware of it. And, if you do notice that you're having a problem, talk to somebody that you trust or a healthcare professional if you have access. Okay, so now it's time to get into the nitty gritty, the skill. The one and only Dear Man. So, Dear Man is obviously an acronym, very much like most of the things in DBT, and it's that way specifically to make it easy to remember. So I'm just going to go through the Dear Man and let you know what each one means, and then we'll go into it a little bit into more depth. So the Dear Man stands for describe, express, assert, reinforce, mindful, appear confident, and negotiate. Once again, this is a skill for getting what you want. It's when you need to set a boundary or you need to have a conversation about something that may be uncomfortable for you or the people around you that involves in getting what you want. Perfect example, very much like a lot of children growing up, like I did not take no very well as a child. I just could never understand why, because in my kid brain made sense, right? Because, the kid brain's super wise. And I would always I'd freak out, you know what I mean? And like would not be able to have like an actual calm conversation, which in a lot of the times might have actually gotten me what I wanted. So doing this helps you stay emotionally regulated throughout the process and to make sure that your emotional brain doesn't take over and you emotionally vomit on the person you're trying to have a conversation with. And it can be a more conducive and concise conversation. So describe the current situation if necessary. Stick to the facts. Tell the person exactly what you're reacting to. This is like taking a non-judgmental stance. This is saying things like there's a difference between saying to somebody as a roommate, for example, you don't care about me. You're always playing loud music in the morning. You know that I get to back from work late. You know all of this, making all of these assumptions about the other person. Whereas with the Dear Man skill, it's 4 out of the 7 days a week, you play loud music. I don't get home until 2 in the morning. When you play loud music early in the morning, I don't get the sleep that I need. This makes it hard for me to continue doing what I need to do throughout the day. Do you see the difference? One is emotionally driven, and the other one is stating the facts about the situation. You want to stick to the facts, not with how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Express your feelings and opinions about the situation. Don't assume that the other person knows how you feel. This is a huge one for me because if it makes sense in your brain, you automatically assume that it's going to make sense in everybody else's brain because why not, right? That's not always the case. The situation that I was talking about, you may just say what I just said to the roommate and the roommate be like, oh, I didn't know that was a problem. You didn't say anything to me about it. Now that you said something to me about it, I'll stop doing it. You know what I mean? Um, uh, use phrases that don't surround absolutes. And what I mean by that is you should, you never, you always. Don't speak in absolutes. I know this sounds really corny, and I know we've been told this from like a meh age. For me, I'm still meh, but the age has gone up. Is use I feel statements because they go a lot further than you should know that
Right.
I get home late and that when you play music, it wakes me up. No, I feel like you don't care about me as a person and a roommate when you choose to act this way.
Yeah.
That is non emotional, it's to the point, and it makes sure that the person who you're speaking to actually knows what you're coming to them about instead of, once again, like I said, emotionally vomiting at them and them having to try to pick different pieces from the vomit to figure out what the heck you're talking about.
And at the outset of these kinds of conversations, now the I feel this is totally cool, totally valid, but definitely if you haven't talked to him about it before, maybe start off with a like, hey bro, the loud music you're playing is killing my sleep. Can you keep it down in the morning? And if that doesn't work, then you need to full the fuck on, dear man, because they're
Absolutely.
not listening to you and they need to know what's up. And you need to find out, is this a person you can continue to live with?
Exactly. And that once again goes into the dear man aspect of getting what you want. This is about you getting what you want, not about anybody else. It's about you getting what you want. So, Fitch did make a very good point, is try to start it out with something simple. If that doesn't work out, then that's when you go into the dear man. And that's with any situation where it comes to you getting what you want and the initial conversation not going well.
As an aside for everyone, as you get more emotionally healthy, odds are your circle of friends will shrink because the amount of bullshit you're willing to put up with has gone down.
Well, yeah, the amount of friends that you have will shrink from friends that aren't healthy to have around. But in my personal experience, my friends actually got more when I got better because I was putting myself out there more and I was surrounding myself with better people. But yes, a lot of the time, those close-knit groups of friends do end up breaking up a lot of the time because one person realizes, like, you guys, this isn't the jam.
Yeah.
At all.
Like, I'm straight up not having a good time. Why am I here?
Exactly. Okay. A, assert yourself. Assert yourself by asking what you want or saying no clearly. Do not assume that others will figure out what you want. Don't assume everybody has a crystal ball. I left mine back on the East Coast when I moved away when I was 3, so I don't have access to mine anymore. So don't assume that anybody else has theirs, okay? Once again, remember that others cannot read your mind. Perfect example of, asserting yourself is, like with the roommate situation. I would really like to have a conversation with you about a timetable, whether it's like a Google spreadsheet or whatever, of like the times during the week that I have to wake up.
Right.
So this doesn't happen. Once again, assert the point that you were trying to make with them. Reinforce, reward the person ahead of time, so to speak, by explaining the positive effects of getting what you want or need. So when it comes to the roommate situation, bringing up, hey, when I don't get a lot of sleep, I am not able to function throughout the day, and it makes it harder for me to be a contributing roommate. If you can start doing this for me and you stop playing music early in the morning, I get the sleep that I need, and then I can be a better person for the rest of you around. It's rewarding them in the sense that showing them that there is something positive that is going to come out of this. Caveat to that. If you go through the trouble of doing a dear man and you say something like that to someone, you have to hold yourself to it. If you tell your roommate, oh, I'm going to be a better person, and you're getting all the sleep and everybody's doing everything that they said that they were going to do for you, and yet you're still grumpy McGrump-Grumps, the next time you do a dear man, they're not going to take it seriously. So when you do this reinforce aspect of it, make sure that you're reinforcing it with something that you can actually agree to.
If you know you're kind of a bastard in the morning, speaking of someone who can smell
Hi.
Just quietly sit with your coffee if you have to. Like, if you have to be somewhat alive around the rest of the people in your home, just try to stay to yourself. It gets better as you practice more and you become better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have some friends who I went through DBT with who can literally do a dear man like this because they've done it so many times. I have not reached that Jedi level yet, because luckily in my life, dear mans aren't super necessary for me. Knock on some wood.
At times, because we are figuring things out, especially with me going through the jungle of my semi-new diagnosis and treatment.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just told my partner, like, if you see me staring into the coffee maker and half crying, just leave me alone. It's just the morning.
So after you reinforce, you want to give a little time, 30 seconds, a minute. Let the person you're speaking to contemplate what you just said. Give them time to register it. Then you want to move on to being mindful. Keep your focus on your goals. Maintain your position. Do not be distracted and do not get off topic. This is one that's super important for those of us who deal with people who like to gaslight in situations. Keeping the dear man helps you stay on point. So if you're with somebody who does have some toxic traits, or due to their own negative conditioning, that's just the route that they take, is gaslight. This allows you to stay on point and not get distracted. It helps you be able to identify, oh, this person is gaslighting. And then that gives you the chance to once again maintain control of yourself and your part of the communication and the conversation, and say, you know what? We've gotten through half of this right now. It's obviously a tense thing. Why don't we try to set up a time later on today for us to continue this conversation? And you get up and you walk away.
And on gaslighting. Now, I'm not saying you should do this. I'm going to put out something I do if I'm dealing with that. Fucking go with it. Go with it. Go with whatever crap they're saying. And then at a certain point, you need to go. But that shit doesn't matter because it happened. It's the past. We need to work on unfucking in the present so the future can get better.
Absolutely.
Crap. And then tell them, you know what? No, what's true there doesn't matter because it's the past.
I will say, for a caveat for that one,
I'm not saying you should do it.
No, totally. For some people that works. And like, my only caveat for that would be, if gaslighting is something that is triggering for you, because I know for some people who could sit there in a conversation while someone gaslights like this, like, yeah, okay. Whatever. If you're one of those people, totally. But if you're one of those people where gaslighting is triggering and it makes it hard for you to stay on point, getting up and walking away is what you need to do.
Yeah. Like, look, waking up and choosing chaos isn't best for everyone. It's what I do.
Unless it's creative chaos. Sorry.
Exactly.
Sorry. I just had to like horribly self-promote there for a second. It was too hard not to.
Hey, it worked in perfectly.
Right? So part of being mindful is broken record. Keep asking, keep saying no, keep expressing your opinion over and over again. If the person just keeps trying to argue with you, just use the non-judgmental, very factual statements over and over again. If you have to reword them, if you don't have to reword them and you just end up saying the same paragraph over and over and over again, that's fine. But it's once again reasserting your position and getting what you want and setting a boundary.
Also, as you're doing this, if the person is at all being receptive, but they're not quite following what you're saying, assume that before you have negative assumption about them, assume that maybe you're not communicating it clearly, and feel free to run that tape again with edits.
And for this reason, I will go ahead and let you guys know right now, if you Google interpersonal effectiveness handout 5 DBT and go into the images, you can print out I'll show you guys on camera what the first page kind of looks like. It will print you out the acronym, and you can get here. I'll show you the other page, man. So if you ever want to do a Dear Man with someone who's not aware of DBT or might get lost in the conversation, hand this to them and let them read over it first. Let them know, this is a conversation I'm going to have with you. This is the way that I have to do it. And once again, it promotes more open and honest communication. You know, you might like your roommate or whoever might look at this and be like, you know what, this is really extensive. I don't have the space or time to have this conversation right now. Can we do this tomorrow? And that not only allows for trust and openness and honesty, but it's also mutual respect for both of you respecting each other's boundaries. Your roommate or the other person you're talking to is saying, no, not right now. You are respecting that, and they are respecting you enough to set another time and date to have that conversation. Because like, let's face it, if you want to get what you want, you got to have the conversation. So let's go ahead and move on to A, which is appear confident, appear effective and competent. Effective is a term that I like to use instead of healthy, because healthy is a very subjective term. What is healthy for me as a 34-year-old female may not be healthy for Fish, who is, I'm not going to call you out at your age, but who is a 30-something-year-old male.
Fuck it, we'll be honest here.
So, being effective is different than being healthy. Being effective is doing something that positively contributes to what you're trying to achieve in that moment. Using a confident voice tone Physical manner, eye contact, you know what I mean? Like me, as you can tell, I'm Italian. I talk with my hands, but when I get upset, my movements are and they're over, you know? So if you're someone like me,
I'm not any different.
yeah. So if you're someone like me, try to keep in mind that if you're trying to have a serious yet not upsetting conversation with somebody about something like this, like be aware of your mannerisms, be aware of your tone and volume of voice. I'm Italian and Portuguese from the East Coast. I am never quiet. I have friends who come over and I'm like, your family's just screaming at each other. And I'm like, no, that's how we talk. Like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. So being aware of little things like this, try not to stare at the floor. Try not to stammer or whisper. Be confident in your stance. You're asking for something. You're setting a boundary. You are worth it. Respect yourself enough to get this done for yourself. Do
And,
not say things like, I'm not sure. Don't. The whole point of this is for you to be succinct and to the point. And if you do get to the point where you're not sure, maybe it's time to end the conversation, because I hate to say it this way, but you just lost the upper hand.
yeah, and if you're doing this and you do get confused in your stuff, as someone who does, because I'll get shit crossed up. Straight up tell them, like,
Absolutely.
say what you need, like tell them, because I'll say, hold up, I need to run the tape for a few because my shit got lost. So keep your confidence, and even if you're lost, keep the confidence. And if you need to take a break, go, you know what, we're going to get back to the shit in a minute because the tape's all over the floor right now.
Yeah, and very much like all of the mindfulness skills, DBT is a practice that is not a perfection. Um, and every single time you do a dear man, it may not end well, but the whole point of it is you going into it and coming out of it knowing that you were true to yourself and you didn't let somebody bowl you over. I have a problem with validation. I seek validation in a lot of other people. So when I try to do dear mans, it gets really difficult for me because when I see that the other person isn't happy with me anymore, I automatically flip the switch to people pleaser, and then Kelly goes on the back burner. So doing things like this helps that from not keeps that from happening. So
We're reverse. If it's not gone well, I'll go, you know, I guess we don't need to deal with each other. Peace.
exactly.
And
Um,
sometimes that is the answer, but it should not be your default.
no,
One who suffers from that default.
nobody's perfect. Okay, so last N for dear man is negotiate. Be willing to give to get. And that goes into the roommate conversation. I
Yep.
will be willing to give me being a better roommate from getting more sleep if I get this from you. Um, Offer and ask other solutions for the problem. If the solution that you thought was going to work doesn't work for the other person, that doesn't mean that you two can't figure out one together that will work.
Yeah, it's
Um,
we both need to throw out solutions and, you know, let's throw the fucking spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. But let's do it
Absolutely.
together. But if you are where peace out is the answer, then you need to figure out your exit strategy from that person, which can be easy or difficult depending on their position in your life. Because
Um,
they're not going to create a healthy environment for you while you're trying to dear man and be honest with them, then that's going to be toxic ballast in your life that you will need to cut away when able.
Absolutely. Um, Focus on what will work. Don't get caught up in the, oh, well, this isn't working and you said no to this and you said no to this. Don't focus on that. Focus what will work. Um,
And if they're shooting down everything you throw out, and also it can be reversed. If you're shooting down at someone else's every idea, then the person shooting it down needs to be challenged. All right, what do you got? If you're
yes,
going to shoot
ask for
everything,
other solutions. Absolutely.
and then if it's you who's shooting it down, then you need to ask yourself, well, what the fuck do you got then? Because
Absolutely.
all you're saying is no, then you're now a part of the problem.
Yeah, asking, that's actually the last part is asking whomever that you're talking to what they think would work.
Yep.
And going from there. But one thing that you do not want to do is that you do not want to reduce what you're asking for.
Nope.
If your roommate says, oh, well, if 4 out of the 3 days of the week I play music loud, can I do it for 2 instead? No, because you're still not getting the sleep that you need. So
No, maybe
I
we need
hate
to
this
go and have
term.
our headphones for you so you're not waking me up all the time.
Yeah, I hate to use this term for obvious reasons, but stick to your guns when it comes
Mhm.
to this. The whole point of this is like here, or actually no, it's not going to show up on the camera. But like literally at the top of the Dear Man skill page, it says, "This is how you get what you want." That's the
Yeah,
whole point of the Dear Man skill is to
like
get what you want or get what you need. And you can use this with a coworker, a boss, a roommate, a family member, a partner, multiple partners, if you're poly, like it literally works for anything because you
like
can literally pick and put.
right. Like your confidence in standing firm in this should be all the swagger of a Dr. Dre track.
Yes. And you can even talk like him too if it helps you get through it. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, that ties up the DBT skill for today. So Matt picked Le Music last week. So this week, Matt has like all this like super cool, like underground, like knows everything about music stuff. And me, I'm like, hi, I do top 40. Um,
Oh, you
my choice for
would
this,
stuff.
yeah, this week's choice for me um, was a huge proponent in my mental health stability from 13 to probably now. So,
And it's a band I've been coming to terms with in my own therapy.
right. So, yeah, I've been a fan of this band for probably about 22 years. The very first CD of theirs I actually listened to it so much. I didn't know that this was possible, but the laser in my CD player in like my big boombox in my room, which shows you how old I am, had actually burned through the CD because I listened to it so much. So this week, the album that I'm picking for everybody to listen to, it's actually 2 albums, but whatever, is they're both Linkin Park, and it's Meteora and Hybrid Theory. I know a lot of you are like, what about Reanimation? I have my feelings about that album, so we're not going to bring that out right now, okay? But
Let me put it this way: musically, production wise, Reanimation's a fucking amazing album.
oh,
But it
absolutely.
where it lacked.
Yeah, absolutely. But so yeah, there were yeah, a lot of songs on those albums that really got through to me. I just want to add like a kind of like a small like I guess like trigger warning for those of you who um don't listen to Linkin Park regularly is on Meteora. I believe it's track number 9, which shows you how much I've listened to this. It's either 9 or 11. It's called Breaking the Habit. Um, it is a song that Chester wrote about locking himself in a room and breaking his heroin addiction. So I just wanted to kind of, it's like the under the bridge sort of like, how that was for Red Hot Chili Peppers. This was that song for Linkin Park. So I just wanted to throw that out there just in case um, that would be a problem for anybody. But yeah, both of the albums are absolutely amazing. I still know every single word to every single song. I still remember what song is what track. Um, I'm really sad that I didn't get to see them live before, the untimely tragedy that happened. But yeah, I just think they're a huge proponent for mental health, and a lot of their songs hit real deep
Mm.
and real hard. So just like a little heads up about that. They're a great band to listen to and just scream at the top of your lungs in your car too, but it is a little deep. So yeah, that is the music. We'll go ahead and post links to both the albums, I believe, from YouTube and Spotify at some point in time on the page. Um, Real quick before we tie up, once again, life has kind of taken over me and Fish's life, for lack of a better term.
We're
Um,
trying to
for
put another episode next week,
yeah,
but no promises. I guarantee we will be back in June. And May is honestly shaky.
yeah. If we do a video in May, it probably won't be until the third week. I have a lot of stuff coming up. Plus, my birthday is May 9th. Yay! I'll be 35.
And
Yay!
I have a couple music things because some people might feel this way that I do about Linkin Park. So wonderful band, and I still cannot listen to their first single off of Hybrid Theory.
Crawling.
No, I fucking love Crawling. That
That
song
was
reminds.
the first album. Are you talking about In the End?
No, the one where he sings "Shut Up When I'm Talking to You." I can't handle that.
Oh, that's Faint. Yeah, yeah. That song is a little excessive.
Well, and I got introduced to it before I even heard it because I subscribed to Guitar World and you would have bass tabs, and that was one of the songs.
Oh my God, I have the same thing. The tabs.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but
For
I was
my
like,
guitar.
I can't handle this. And I had their first album because I'd heard Crawling, thought it was awesome. But then cut to a number of years later, oh three, so a few years later. So I'm dating this girl, and one of her things when she was feeling shitty, she was like playing literally the most emotionally painful Linkin Park songs that she could put on. And it
Ooh.
felt like it was attacking me in some ways. And so, and I don't know if that was my emotional dysregulation or if that's just she was taking her own bad day or what. But because of all that, I personally have trouble listening to them. But as a fan of mental health, heavy music, and hip hop, I fucking love this band because they took conversations that we were really only having in the underground at like emo shows or backpack hip hop shows, and all of a sudden brought this shit to the mainstream where now more people are starting to have these conversations. And I think Linkin Park's fame is partially responsible for more males being willing to be emotionally open. Because,
Absolutely.
and musically, I mean, I fucking love how they were bringing heavy music and honestly legitimate hip hop together because love him or hate him, Mike can fucking rap.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dude's got boars. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Like I said, we're going to try to get one more episode out at the end of next week, and then after that we're probably going to take a break for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then after that we will be back regularly on a weekly basis. It's just like I said, life kind of took over for both of us, and there's just really no time to film, um sadly. So I guess on that note,
I mean, by the time it's all done,
yeah, yeah.
like my
Um,
will be the same. It's just going through some rearrangements. Kelly will probably be in a whole new space.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're hoping so. But all right. Well, on that note, everyone be safe. Please make good choices. I can't say that enough. With the way the world is right now, please make good choices for yourself and others.
Right.
Be nice to others, and remember everybody is battling their own battle and is dealing with their own struggle. So try to keep that in mind when dealing with people, all right?
And at some point musically, if not before the summer, definitely during the summer, we do have a treat for y'all because we're going to do an in-depth discussion on hip hop and what it's meant to us mental health wise.
Yes, it's going to be super, super fun. I'm going to try to see if I can get some people to come on and talk about that too. So it'll be super fun, but we don't want to give you guys away any more secrets. So, on that note,
And as far as the one I keep announcing people, the Homeless Gospel Choir album, I've had a hard time feeling that album. So if you're interested, go listen to the artist on your own, and maybe someday we'll review it on this show.
hell yeah. All right. On that note, I think we're done. Everybody be good, and we will see you guys next week. Peace
Please.
out. Bye.